Hello, everyone. So today I want to talk about J.D. Vance, the 50th Vice President of the United States. And the reason I want to talk about him is because he's a very unique individual. And the main reason for that is because he is the first enlisted Marine to ascend to the position of the Vice President of the United States. I mean, that's one hell of an achievement if you think about it. Now, there have been, throughout our history, there have been previously, the Vice President and later on President of the United States was Richard Nixon. He served in the Naval Reserves. But there have been others that served as enlisted and then later on became officers. One was James Buchanan. He served as a private and then became a colonel and eventually the President of the United States. Another one was President McKinley. He was also private, got promoted eventually to major, and then became President of the United States. And finally, we had Lyndon Johnson. He was also enlisted in the Naval Reserves and then became a commander. But what sets J.D. apart is he was purely enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. The other presidents that did serve in the military were never enlisted. So there's only a handful that were enlisted, and there's only one that was a United States Marine. And I want to talk about him a little bit. So J.D. was born in 1984. Unfortunately, his parents divorced when he was a toddler, and his mother raised him in a very poor and humble background. And typically that we see in modern America. What we don't realize today is there's a lot of kids in America that are being raised in similar circumstances. Today, as we speak, there's over 50 million Americans that are food insecure. Now, what does that mean? It means that they know where they're going to get their food from today, but they don't know where they're getting their food tomorrow. And the same number of people in America have, around $400 in their savings account. So they're living essentially paycheck to paycheck. So J.D. Vance was brought up in this environment. And he graduates high school in 2003 and decides to join the Marine Corps. And it's very interesting, the timing of when he decided to join the Marine Corps. The Iraq War started in March of 2003, and he decides to raise his right hand and become a Marine in April. Goes to Parris Island, South Carolina, graduates Marine recruit training, and goes to Iraq as a military journalist. Now, he's the first one to claim that he didn't really see any combat. And I think I have a lot of respect when somebody says that, because everybody comes back and they try to embellish or make more of their tour than it really was, because vast majority of the people, if you think about it, in Iraq and Afghanistan basically sat at FOBs. Yeah, they had a combat deployment, but they didn't really participate in combat. They just sat on FOBs. Of the hundreds of thousands of service members that deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, only a small fraction actually saw real combat or left the wire. And that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, that we failed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Everybody just became a FOBIT. And nonetheless, that's a topic for another subject. So he leaves the Marine Corps in 2007 and then goes to Ohio State University and then graduates from there, the bachelor's degree, and then goes to Yale Law School. And graduates with a law degree. Now that's quite damn impressive if you think about it. To go into Yale Law School, a schmuck like me can go to Ohio State and graduate from there, but go to Yale Law School, you got to be top notch. And graduates in 2013. Now he did all this on the GI Bill, so that's to keep that in the back of your mind. So he doesn't come from, he comes from humble beginnings, and he works his tail off and uses all the benefits that the military offers. His VA benefits. And uses the GI Bill, goes to college, does well in college, graduates from Yale, and does quite well for himself. Becomes a corporate lawyer. He meets his wife, Usha, in Yale, and she is of Indian South Asian background. And that's an important thing to keep in the back of the mind, because later on it's going to come up. And after that, he writes a book in 2016 called "A Hilly-Billy Elegy." Now, I haven't read it, so I can't really talk about it. But evidently, in 2020, that book becomes a movie on Netflix. Then in 2022, he decides to run for senator from Ohio, and he wins as a junior senator.
This issue is personal. I nearly lost my mother to the poison coming across our border. No child should grow up an orphan. I'm JD Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America first.
And he's got a very conservative position in Congress, and he sponsors a bill called Dismantle DEI Act. And because of his values, he believes in meritocracy, and he comes on the radar of President Trump. Now, prior to that, he criticized Trump on a couple of his policies and comments that he'd made. Now, you got to remember, Trump has had some bad experiences in his first administration, especially with Pence, who I thought was a boob, quite frankly. Didn't really do anything. And then you had, Trump has also had run-ins with Mattis, with John Kelly, with Pompeo, Bolton, Esper. So everybody in the past administration, Trump's had problems with. So he's looking for the right guys in this administration because he's learned his lesson, right or wrong. And I don't want to really get into who is right, who is wrong, but Trump is trying to pick the right team. And Trump's son, Don Jr., introduced him to JD and really pushes the fact that this guy is the right guy. Trump selects him at the Republican National Convention. And at the time, JD's popularity was rock bottom. I mean, I was probably more popular than JD Vance. His popularity was 27%. And, so he's kind of fumbling along. Elon Musk is getting all the credit. JD, is sort of pushed out a little bit. There's a lot of news articles said JD's kept at a distance. And, he kind of hangs in there. Then the debate happens between him and the Democratic candidate, and JD just kicks ass. I mean, he just dominates that debate like there's no tomorrow. So, after the debate, all of a sudden, Trump realizes that JD's got something that others don't have. One is the young people starting to identify with him.
You don't really know when you're doing this because your adrenaline's going. You're trying not to say anything stupid. You don't actually know how it's going, really. Like, I felt pretty good about it, but my wife comes out at the very end, just as sort of like this one final, segment for the TV cameras. Gwen Waltz comes up and my wife comes up, and I look at Usha's face, and I just knew. I was like, holy shit.
Nice.
We must have done a very good job, because Usha doesn't lie to me, and her face especially doesn't lie to me, and I knew that minute that we had a very good debate.
He speaks really well on his feet, and he doesn't really have any missteps, and maybe that has something to do with his Marine training. He's very focused. And JD, to his credit, doesn't let all these distractions sort of affect him, and he continues to plow along during the election cycles. And then obviously, the Trump Vance ticket wins. And since then, I started listening to this guy, and quite frankly, that's not too many people impress me. I mean, you got to have certain qualities that are impressive. And the more I listen to him, I'm thinking maybe he might be the adult in the room. He's very consistent in his message. He's extremely well-spoken, and his message is quite simple, that America does not need DEI. America needs meritocracy. We need to elevate people by giving them opportunities, equal opportunities across the board, just like he got, and based on how hard they work, let them rise. And I kind of believe that, because I came from similar backgrounds. Now, obviously, as a minority, I didn't rely on getting any special favors, because I just felt that if I did that, all of a sudden my credibility instantly is going to go out the window, and my troops won't respect me, my fellow officers won't respect me, and it does the institution a great disservice if I stand there and say, you know what, I want special favors because of my skin color, because of my religious beliefs, or because of my sexual orientation. And that's just plain wrong, in my opinion. Anyway, so the reason this is all important is because all of a sudden in the politics, as you get up in national politics, it's a 50-50 rule. 50% of the people are going to love you, and 50% are going to hate you. So that's how it really pans out. And the one that can get the 51% wins in our democratic system that we've got going on. So you just got to get over that 50% hump. And so J.D. Vance is labeled as a racist because of his stance on DEI.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist.
And what people don't realize by labeling him racist is, look at his wife, Usha. You know, they've got two wonderful kids and a German Shepherd dog, which I really adore. But how can you call somebody a racist when he's married to a woman of color? I mean, that just boggles my mind. What the hell are these people thinking? It just destroys your credibility when you come up with stupid crap like that. So just stop saying stuff like that. It's idiotic. It makes no sense. Okay. And the other important thing that we need to remember about J.D. Vance is the message that it sends out to all the young people in America. That it doesn't matter where you come from. You can come from the Appalachian Mountains like he did, with a single mother, barely putting food on the table, with a drug habit. And if you keep working hard every day and doing what you're supposed to be doing, you can rise to the top. And I think that's a beautiful message out there. And more importantly, instead of the military hiring The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and paying him a ton of money to be the poster child to help recruiting, we got one already in our government, J.D. Vance. I mean, there is no better person to put on a recruiting poster than J.D. Vance. And the reason being is because he got to the top. We should make him an inspiration for all the young folks out there, men and women, that, hey, you join the military, you work hard, the military got some benefits for you, the GI Bill, and you get life experiences in the military. So when you get out there in the world, you're confident. You can speak confidently. And people respect that. So these are the messages we got to send out to the young people and say, you know what? The military has an incredible amount of advantages. And oh, by the way, the current administration does not believe in unnecessary wars that we go fight for other countries in the Middle East or wherever. So that's important also. So come join the military. Be the next J.D. Vance. And so I'm really excited about seeing him. I think Trump with Lieutenant Colonel Schiller decision, with Lieutenant Colonel Lohmeyer decision, and picking J.D. Vance. It's a trifecta. I mean, it's beautiful. And I want to believe that J.D. Vance had something to do with it also, because he understands what the troops want. He's been there. And I think that's very important. And so I see a bright future. Now, I'm telling you this. I'm not MAGA. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm just simply an American. I took an oath to this document, and I stand by it, and I just call myself an American. On issues, I'm an American that supports issues rather than parties and platforms and ideologies. I don't believe in any of that crap, right? I believe in the Constitution. That's it. And then I'll look at an issue and I'll decide, hey, if this is in the best interest of the United States, I'll support it. If it isn't, I won't support it. And if I think it's a detriment to the United States, I will criticize it. So I got a few comments that some people didn't like the words that I was using, such as horseshit and stuff like that. And here's the deal. I'm a Marine infantryman at heart. This is how Marine infantrymen typically speak. I don't write scripts and read off of it. I simply speak from the heart. And there's no insult intended in my words. Horseshit is simply horseshit. Now, if you don't like that, I can substitute that to bullshit. Those are the two options we got. In your comments, I really appreciate the experiences that everybody are writing about, their personal experience in the military, and also their family experience. A lot of people have written about their fathers and stuff, and I think it's great. It's therapeutic, right? To be able to share those, and we all learn from that. And I'm also thinking about doing a podcast where I invite some, average Americans that serve in the military and listen to their stories. Because we don't give credit to the average Joes, basically. You have to have a certain medal, you have to be of certain rank, or whatnot. And then that's when you get media time. But there's so many stories out there, individual stories of their experience in the military. And I'm thinking about doing these segments. So let me know what you think about that. And if there's interest, I'll certainly do it. It's not hard to do. I'm starting to learn. Believe it or not, I'm learning Zoom. And it happens to be a former Marine that I served with in an infantry company that's teaching me how to do it. It's scary shit what Marine infantrymen can pick up on. Nonetheless, I'm learning Zoom. So if there's interest in doing these two-way podcasts, I'd be glad to do it. I think it's enjoyable. I think people learn from each other. And the most important thing is we value each other, right? I think that's far more important and we need to value each other. And these stories and sea stories and experiences need to be captured for others to learn from. Very important. I think the message out there for everybody is, let's seek out people like J.D. Vance, elevate them, so our young people, the next generation, have people to look up to and aspire to be. And J.D. Vance is somebody you want to aspire to be, because based on my experience, I don't know the guy, I didn't serve with him in the Marine Corps, but just looking at him and watching him, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I think he's pretty shit hot. So we got a bright future. Now, hopefully the wheels don't come off, but J.D. Vance inspires me. I wish him well. I wish his family well, and I wish our country a bright future. That's all I got. Stay rugged, stay united. Con out.